Next up, we have a fireside chat, new retail and new tech, the perfect storm. And to, to moderate this storm fireside chat, we have a calm Atul Jalan, CEO, MD, Manthan Systems. I see you always as calm, Atul. So I still remember the last NPC presentation, what you presented on the Humane 2.0. I think I still remember that, and that's where I see you as a calm person. As CEO of Manthan, Atul's single objective is to keep the spirit of invention and innovation alive. Manthan is Atul's fourth successful venture after Microtrack, Cybertrek, and Netcraft, and today is among the few Indian companies that can boast in an analytics portfolio that several Fortune 500 companies rely on. Atul, over to you.
Why people are so serious in tech conferences? Huh? Cheer up. We have Hari. Hi, Hari. Why don't you come in? Wherever.
You know, when he described you as calm, and I guess he said calm and something else, I saw Atul Batra, who's my good friend, laughing very nervously. And I know he works for you at Manthan, so I don't know exactly what to take out of that, but we'll see how the panel goes, how the chat goes.
Just to set this off, in my opinion, there are two industries which has been impacted most, if you will, by the forces of technologies, retail and media. Media, 70–80% of all advertising revenues goes to Facebook or Google, right? And they don't spend a penny in any content creation. And they have driven out traditionally successful media companies out of business. In retail, the personalization of consumers, has empowered consumers in an unprecedented ways. This new consumer, I would like to call multi-channel flirt, demands more convenience, customization, collaboration, and choices, correct? Retailers are also adopting the same forces of technologies to co-opt with this consumer. For this consumer, it's almost like sleeping with the enemy, right?
You said flirting, you said sleeping with the enemy. I'm wondering what's the next term that's going to come up.
So with that as a context, Hari, you have a huge introduction, Hari.
You can skip
this could be my lifeline. Anyway, so Hari is a friend and known technologist, and he has got a ringside view in sense of how consumerism and technologies are shaping each other. Allow me to read a bit of Hari's background. As country head and vice president, Hari oversees all the key functional areas at Walmart Labs, Bangalore. Well done, Hari. From global e-commerce to store information technologies. Hari's previous experience with Yahoo and Flipkart is a testimony to his ability to lead large technology organizations. He shaped the strategy. What have you not done? He shaped the strategy of supply chain during his tenure with Flipkart and built the technology stack for e-cart.
That's right.
He has also received many patents, including ones for method and apparatus for configuring a camera through external means. I can do that.
Yeah. It all's up to how you write it.
Intelligent camera flash system and system method and apparatus for portable digital identity. Yeah. Thanks, Hari. So one round of applause for Hari.
Thank you.
So Hari, with all this AI, IoT, augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D printing, what are the things that you're most excited about?
So I'm, at the risk of being provocative at this conference, I'm going to start by saying that the way at least we think of it, all of what you just described, AI, IoT, ML, is just an alphabet soup of technology, right? At the end of the day, we are a retailer. We are very customer first in our thinking. And for us, in many ways, we pride ourselves on being a people-led but tech-enabled company. So we really think of technology as an enabler for us to be able to really provide value to the customer. And so in that, from keeping that in mind and in perspective, if you look at it, our mission has always been to save customers money or people money so that they can live better. And that's a philosophy that's been ingrained in us by our founder. And more, the focus has shifted to not just saving money, but also saving time. And so the one word that really encapsulates what we want to do with the customer today is convenience. It's all about convenience, right? There was a New York Times article a few months ago that I read called The Tyranny of Convenience. And that's that convenience is such a powerful concept that the more convenience that's provided to you, the more you're willing to give that company the business, to the point where you're, practically speaking, becoming a slave to convenience. And so we have focused a lot on enabling convenience through technology. So as an example, I'll give you a very personal example that happened to me just a few months ago. So I travel to the US a lot. And of course, every time I'm traveling back, I ask my children who are now in college in the US, but I ask them what do they want. And usually it's only 2 or 3 things, right? It's Hershey's nuggets, chocolates, or Pepperidge Farm cookies or whatever, right? And this one time I forgot to buy the stuff up front. And so literally on the evening before I had an early morning flight, so I was talking to a colleague. It was a late meeting that was running late. And I said, hey, I have to go shopping. And he said, why do you have to go shopping? You can just use the Walmart app and order and pick it up along the way to the airport. And I said, great, here's an opportunity for me to try it out. So first I went to the app. Interestingly enough, it's very crude personalization, but the app immediately knew what my purchase behavior was. And it suggested to me, amongst a list of 5 or 6 products, it suggested both these products were there. So I immediately clicked on it, selected it, put it into my cart, and I said, I'll pick it up tomorrow morning on my way to the airport. Luckily enough, I remembered to actually stop at the store on my way. It picked the right store for me on my way to the airport, so I just pull it into the parking lot. I go into the store, and right at the entrance to the store, there's this 16-foot tall, what we call a pickup tower. I go up to the pickup tower. I put my order number in. 10 seconds, my order is out. The door opens to the pickup tower. I pick up my order. I walk out. The entire interaction from the time I got out of the car to the time I was back in the car was probably about 2.5 minutes, of which everything but 10 seconds was spent walking to the store and walking back, right? I did not have any interaction with the associate in the store other than the Walmart greeter who greeted me at the door saying, good morning, sir. That's convenience, right? If I had to stop, I would have to plan it such that I show up, I leave half an hour early from the hotel so that I have time to be able to pick this up, do the shopping. And the technology that goes behind that, whether it's a personalization that shows up on the application, whether it's the fact that the order has been scheduled for pickup, so somebody's actually gone in and picked up the order, put it into this pickup tower. The pickup tower itself is highly automated. It can hold up to 300 orders at any given time, at any given point in time, depending on the size of the orders. And then I can just show up, punch in my order number, and my exact order shows up in 10 seconds. I pick it up and walk away.
Amazing.
That is all enabled through technology.
So
right now, at the back of it, there's AI, there's ML, there's IoT, whatever you want to call it. But the point is, it's really all about convenience for the customer.
So I've heard of this apocryphal story, the association between diapers and beer. Have you heard about it?
Yes, I have. We all have.
So there's a story about Walmart also, hurricane and strawberry tarts.
Yeah.
So it's a story or?
So I mean, there are lots of stories. And, we have a joke internally at Walmart that the sure shot way of getting promoted at Walmart is to work on any project related to strawberries. Because there's just, at any point in time, we have maybe hundreds of different projects that are going on that are trying all sorts of technologies with strawberries. And the problem is real because it's a very highly, it's a product that's sold in very large volume across the stores. But it's also a product that spoils very quickly. So one example of technology is really, we have scanners that scan the product and basically will determine how close it is to spoilage using machine learning techniques, right? So what we do is we train an algorithm using strawberries of different kinds, strawberries that are close to spoilage, looking at essentially providing training data, which then the machine can essentially look at, it can scan sort of crates of strawberries on the shelf and pretty much predict to our store managers, to our store associates, how long it is going to be before the strawberry will spoil, based on which we can decide how much to mark the price down. So if it's going to spoil in the next 2 hours, we'll mark the price down significantly so that it can be sold. If it's going to spoil in the next 3 to 4 days, then we'll mark it down differently and so on, right? Or in some cases, if it's too close to being spoiled, then we might just take it off the shelf and dispose it off so that it's not actually sold to customers.
20 years back, every retailer competing with Walmart was supposed to be suffering from Walmartitis, as it were. Today it is Amazonitis. So how do you plan to cope with this disease?
So like I said, technology is definitely going to be a big part of it.
But this
but
has
what's
become
also,
hygiene also, no?
to some extent, yes. But I'll tell you, I mean, coming back to this mantra of convenience, right? And you yourself talked about what you call the multi-channel flirt, I think is what you mentioned, right? And I think of it as more the omni-channel flirt or the omni-channel experience. Because customers today don't care whether it's offline, online. These are all labels that we put, right, as businesses. For a customer, really, it's very simple. If I'm a single mother or a single parent or who's essentially shuttling from work to school to pick up my kids from soccer practice and go home and cook, the point is really, I don't worry about whether I have to order online or offline. Basically, I want the groceries when I'm at home, right? So what do I do typically today if I were at Walmart? I would essentially go pick up, typically what I would do is, as I'm leaving work, I would use my mobile phone, order, right? And there's a very easy reorder mechanism we have, which is that, items that you order very frequently, you have sort of a one-click reorder. So I reorder, I pick up my children from the local soccer practice or whatever it is, after school activity, and then on my way home, I stop in at the Walmart. As I get into the parking lot, our app essentially, which is location enabled, will communicate with the store associate app. The order that I've made has already been pre-picked. Associates have gone around the store. And the way they go around the store also involves technology. It's called pick path optimization. It's pre-picked. And as soon as you show up, you don't even have to call the associate. You're automatically checked in. You park into a particular slot, which is sensed and communicated to the associate. The associate walks out. You open your trunk. She loads up the trunk. You drive home. That's it, right? Again, if you look at all the pieces of technology that is required to enable this, right? And it's a pure omni-channel experience. And why is it so critical for us as Walmart? If you look at it, we have 5,000 stores in the US today.
But those are your
Brick and mortar
liabilities too.
Not necessarily, and I'll tell you why not, right? If you look at it today, 90% of US households live within 10 miles of a Walmart store. So they can start an order in the store, online in their homes, or wherever they are using their mobile phones.
With the drone deliveries and things like that,
Well,
how long can you
know,
call
there's
that
an
as a competitive
There was an
advantage?
interesting article I read about drone
Yeah,
deliveries, right? And one thing that Amazon does do well is really create a lot of splash, right? If you look at the number of drone deliveries that they have actually
Splash
done to
has served
paying
them well.
customers,
$1 trillion by market
exactly
valuation.
zero, right? That's true. I mean, there's no question about that. But the point is, again, I would come back to the fact that at the end of the day, if you do right by the customer, if you're able to create value for the customer, that will trump everything, right? And that's really what we're very actively focused in doing, right? And if you look at it, the omni-channel experiences that we've introduced, today, you can order online, it'll get delivered to you in your house, right, through walmart.com or jet.com. During your next trip to the store, you can just drop it off at the store because you're returning the item and it'll automatically, you will get a refund from the store associate immediately.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of shipping it back to wherever it came from, right? These are all things that, even an Amazon cannot do because they don't have the kind of footprint and the kind of presence that we have in local communities across the country and across the world.
Awesome. So you have been a technology visionary, Hari. My belief is that so far in version 1.0, if you will, as a consumer, I deal with your technology, right? I go to Walmart.com, Amazon.com, and so on. I think very soon, my technology will talk to your technology. I would have an iBot or a MeBot, which would collect data from my fridge, from washing machine, from all the Fitbits and IoTs that would be within me and without me, okay? And would know what to order, from where to order, who's giving me the best deal, who would get me things in time that I need it. You won't have data. I will use the same data sciences that is making you and companies like Amazon what they are becoming. I would harness those data for my own benefit. Do you worry about that future?
No, I think, for me, it's really a partnership with the customer at the end of the day, right? I mean, we are not here to steal something from the customer or inconvenience the customer.
You're stealing all my data.
No, we are not, right? Essentially, I mean, when you say your data, do you mean you as a consumer?
Yeah, I mean, all predictive.
So I'll tell you one thing, we're not in the business of selling data about our customers.
No,
right?
but
we
you
store
are,
customer.
you are weaponizing it, right?
No, I don't think so. I beg to differ on that, right? I think what we do is we use the data in a way that is very convenient to you, that allows you to have more delightful, better experiences. As an example, in this case, right? My own example, like I said, the fact that the first thing I saw in the app were the 6 or 7 items that were suggested to me, that's a convenience to me, right? I mean, yes, it was done using my data, my shopping habits. But the reality is, if I had to go and choose and browse through an endless catalog of items, it would have been horribly inconvenient. It would not help me in any way. In this case, what we're doing is we're doing the opposite of weaponizing data. We're actually using the data that we have about you to actually create a much more delightful, much better experience for you that's going to save time for you at the end of the day, right? And that's what it's all about. And coming back to your example of devices, right? Even as businesses, I mean, we have about 2.5 million associates worldwide, right? And we have a footprint of about 11,000 stores. Recently, our CEO visited our facilities in Bangalore, right? And we were actually able to show him a demo of a project that we're running, right? That we had just started off. So we have data from these IoT devices being streamed in through a gateway with analytics run on it. And we were able to show him data live on what was the temperature in a particular freezer in a store in Lockport, New York.
Wow.
He looked at the display and 4 times he asked us, this data is live from Lockport right now. So if I were to call up the store manager in Lockport and ask him to go and check the temperature in the freezer, this is what it would say.
True.
And the answer is absolutely yes, right? So it also helps us to run our businesses a lot more efficiently, a lot more productively, so that we can then pass those efficiencies to our customers. So we have 2 terms at Walmart that we take very, very seriously, right? Everyday low cost and everyday low price. Everyday low cost to us is, at our scale, the biggest value we bring in is the ability to drive prices down.
Are you able to keep kind of unanimity between your prices online and in your stores?
So that's a great question, and it depends, and I'll tell you what I mean. I don't mean to be sort of shying away from it. So we have multiple policies on pricing, right? One is what we call national pricing. So there are certain categories of goods which will be priced nationally. There are other categories which are very local, right? And so for local goods, we will go with local pricing. Sometimes it's competitive pricing. Sometimes it's pricing that is geared to move complementary items. So we have a whole range of pricing policies. And the interesting aspect, coming back to the technology question that you asked me, right? On any given day, if you take it across our stores, we run millions of price changes, right? So when you see this famous advertisement of, prices are rolling back and you see the smiley, you can't do that manually. I cannot have an associate go in and decide on an item by item, store by store basis what he needs to price an item at, right? So what we do is we do it essentially completely automatically
through
across the
electronic
chain,
labeling and
through essentially doing a lot of data analytics on the data that's coming to us from the stores, on sale patterns, on everything from time of year, seasonality, what's the availability of substitutes. So there's a lot of factors that go into pricing. And the pricing policy itself is at times quite complex. But the underlying philosophy is this other term that's related to EDLC, which is called EDLP, everyday low price, which means that any savings that we are able to extract or create in our entire process, we are committed to passing it to the customer.
would we as consumer in India also with your Flipkart acquisition can be assured of everyday low price for everything we want?
So the acquisition itself is just closed,
Okay.
right?
So from when?
We are still letting Flipkart be an independent company. I can tell you again from my time at Flipkart, as well as having personally shopped at Flipkart on the Big Billion Days, their prices are extremely competitive already.
No hope?
You'll have to ask Flipkart for that.
But you
I
are
can't answer
Flipkart
the
now,
question.
aren't you?
All I can say is my personal experience with Flipkart is that they're very competitive.
Okay, tell me something. What's the reality of holographic imaging? And how would that shape the future of brick and mortar physical stores?
Wow, holographic imaging.
AR, VR?
AR, VR, okay, definitely. So I'll give you 2 examples again, right? One which is actually already happening inside Walmart, another one which we're trying very hard to make happen, and I'm optimistic will happen in the next couple of months. The one that's already happening, like I mentioned to you, we have, in the US alone, over 1 million people working in our stores. And during the peak holiday season, in order to deal with the traffic, we hire even more people. And these are people who have to be trained, right? And so what we end up doing is we end up using augmented and virtual reality systems. So many of our stores have 360-degree cameras, and we have created content of how associates interact with customers in stores, how customers navigate our stores, and so on.
But this is not used as a surrogate for holding inventory in stores yet?
No. So there's two uses to it. One is we use it to train our associates so that they don't have to actually be physically present in the store to be trained. So by the time they go to the store, having gone through this training in 2 weeks, they really know how to navigate the store, how to interact with customers, because they've been trained using the VR goggles. The second sort of more futuristic example, if you will, is we have just started to experiment in many stores in the US now with a system called Bassinova robots. Our previous
What
panelists,
robots?
Bassinova
robots?
Bassinova.
Oh, Bassinova robots.
So these robots essentially go through the aisles in the stores, right? And they're scanning the shelves. So it's very similar to what Sanjay was talking about with Gray Orange, right? Those are robots that are going into the warehouse, pulling items or shelves of items.
You've just begun.
I know.
Put that up.
It just feels like we've just begun, and he's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
flashing the
Certainly,
12-second
Yeah,
sign.
yeah.
But anyway, these robots are scanning the shelves. They're determining which shelves are going are soon going to go out of inventory, which then triggers a signal to the back room. And it's either...
Since you're on time, retail in general is the bigger employer of people, right? Walmart in particular, one of the biggest employer globally, with robotics, robots. What's your estimate? What percentage of people would be replaced by machines in next 5 years?
That's a question that we get asked very often.
I'm sure.
In fact, right? And the reality is this, that the way we are thinking about it, many of our associates in the stores in particular today are engaged in mundane, repetitive, unproductive tasks. And when
Things
I say
that machine can do.
Exactly. And when I say unproductive, the primary thing that we're trying to do with associates in the store is they should be spending time with our customers. If I have an associate who's sitting there trying to figure out where his inventory is, working with his mobile device,
What
looking
percentage,
down,
Hari?
I'm sorry?
What percentage in your estimate
No,
would
so
be replaced?
really we don't anticipate to have any job losses. As
So
such
what would you
because of-
do? You'll have machine and people both?
Well, like I said, today what is happening is a lot of our associates are engaged in unproductive tasks, repetitive tasks. They're not spending as much time with customers.
But then you'll be useless, right?
No, they will spend time with customers because
All of
what is
them.
happening is today, if you look at it, a biggest source of friction for customers is that they find that our associates are not engaging with them enough.
You're being politically correct.
No,
Hari.
it's not a question of being politically
He
correct.
can be politically correct.
Not at all, right? I mean, this is something that we genuinely believe, and we have seen it actually play out in action in our health and wellness space as an example, where what we have done is we have used automation very effectively, where our pharmacist is now able to consult with the customer who comes in, is able to advise that customer on what effect that medication will have with any other medication they may be taking, how they should be taking the medication. So these are all examples of how we are able to increase the interactions that our associates are having with customers.
Sure. I personally believe all technologies are creative force and they will create more than destroy. Of course, that
I
doesn't
agree.
mean that in short term, there won't be transitional pains. But
No, I think people will have to reskill in some cases, like you said, right? I mean, if you look at it, a lot of the RPA work, now you find that people are reskilling and doing different things. So that will also happen. But again, for us, the focus always is on how do we improve the customer experience? How do we make our associates work and deal better with our customers so that customers can have truly delightful experiences, whether they're shopping with us online or at the store or anywhere in between.
last question, there are so many startups out here, Hari. How can they work with you?
Many, many different ways,
A lot
right?
of
So
people
as
were
an
telling
example,
me
I'll
that you
tell
don't
that-
even accept the LinkedIn invite.
No, I was in a panel earlier where we were talking about startups, right? And I mean, LinkedIn invites too, no question about that.
How can they work with you? Tell
So-
us three-step
So
process.
we run a lot of, like the previous panel was talking about proof of concept works, right? I mean,
They'll all get funding. You
we
give them
run a lot
POC,
of-
they get funding. You
Absolutely,
see?
right.
Everybody wins.
completely agree with you. So we are looking to partner with them. We have a multitude of problems. Like you said yourself, retail is a wonderful area of opportunity for problems. So
Absolutely.
we're looking to partner with startups where they can co-develop solutions with us. They can help, we can help define problems for them. We are obviously looking to acquire any startups that are, open to that. We recently made an acquisition of a company called AppsFly, which was engaged in developing mobile experiences.
My company is also in retail technology.
Your company is up for acquisition. We can have a conversation, absolutely. No question about that.
No, but honestly, Hari, so many people ask me the same question. You must ask Hari, so on behalf of all those startups, is there a way to work with you?
Like I said, talk to us. We're happy to partner with you. We're happy to co-develop solutions.
How do I reach you?
How do you reach me? I'm available on LinkedIn.
You're not.
Oh, yes, of course I am.
No,
right?
look, I know you're not.
Anyone here can tell you. I respond to all my LinkedIn messages. My phone number is open.
Okay, what are 1 or 2, 3?
Atul knows how to reach me.
No, I don't know what he does. But 1 or 2, 3.
Okay, Atul, that's your performance review right there.
No. 1 or 2, 3 quick things that you're looking at that people in the audience have, there's a match out here.
So mobility.
So what in mobility? Can you be a bit more specific?
So any kind of large-scale mobile consumer-driven applications, mobile experiences that can scale well to the right form factor on the device.
You guys are making notes, right?
Big data and analytics, of course. Right? Anything that essentially, in the area of robotics, for example, machine learning and AI, these are all, really, the reason why in some ways I'm struggling to answer your question is because retail, like I said, is such a fertile ground. We do everything, right? From sourcing to pricing, to personalization, to payment fulfillment. So almost any space you can think of, there's an opportunity
This
probably for you to
Flipkart
work with
acquisition doesn't come with any offset clause?
I don't understand what you mean by an offset clause.
Is there an offset clause in any such thing? No. Rafael comes with offset clause. This doesn't? Okay.
No idea.
All right.
I have no idea what you're talking
No,
about.
offset clause is there is of the total revenue business that you do here, some percentage, usually I am not expert on this, 30% I reckon, at least in defense purchases, okay?
I'm not privy to any of the terms of the Flipkart deal, so I cannot answer that question, sorry. You'll have to ask that question of somebody at Flipkart.
So, any audience question, please?
Right away from Walmart. So I think 5 more minutes would have done that. Probably I have to cut you short.
No.
Really,
Look, you are being impolite, but it's okay.
Thank you very much.